here today. The first time you have people that are there that have the impetus to tell the American public the truth. So how did we get here? How did we get here today?
Pentagon's secret UFO program revealed. The military spending millions of dollars to look into UFO sightings, and videos from American fighter pilots all being made public.
The remarkable admission by the Pentagon came as a result of reporting by the New York Times, which published a story of the mysterious UFO program over the weekend.
In 2017, two colleagues and I published this front-page Sunday New York Times piece revealing for the first time that Pentagon was not out of the UFO business, as it had long claimed, but was really very much involved in tracking UFOs. The article broke the news that there was a secret unit, which we called ATIP, funded with $22 million in secret funding to track and investigate encounters between Navy jets and unknown objects that had been flying around carrier groups on the West Coast and the East Coast, and in some cases were seen churning underwater.
How surprised were you about this Pentagon program, a surprise program with a $22 million budget?
$22 million. This is the revelation that the conspiracy theorists have been looking for all along, that the government knows there are actually UFOs. Well, it's always impossible to know what the conspiracy theorists are thinking.
The head of the program, a man named Luis Elizondo, who had long intelligence history and credentials, had just submitted his resignation to the Secretary of Defense because he was being thwarted by superiors in the Pentagon.
It was about the craziest thing that's happened to the UFO community, because what we had here is we had some Pulitzer Prize winning journalists dropping this article, and so suddenly UFOs were something that were being talked about seriously, and the world kind of changed after that.
Tell us what the purpose of the program was and why it was so secretive.
The purpose of the program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, was really designed to do just that. From a national security perspective, identify those things that we see.
But there were those people, especially on the web, who tried to downplay and undercut the article. But the government never succeeded, really, in undermining the reporting we did. It didn't fully endorse it. It claimed at some points that Lou Elizondo was not who he said he was. We had checked him out thoroughly. We had his performance records. We had his whole intelligence history. So we knew who our sources were, and we had vetted them thoroughly.
Lou is a real patriot. He's done some pretty powerful stuff when it comes to moving this dialogue forward, and sometimes at his own peril, at his own risk.
Do you believe that life from somewhere else came here?
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
It was very, very eye-opening in terms of what was going on basically under our noses. We all thought UAP had been debunked years ago as rubbish, as tripe. We thought it was just like a, 60s or 50s issue of flying saucers and little green men from Venus.
So it was kind of an exciting story on many levels, and it drew a tremendous reaction.
The Pentagon now confirms the existence of a secretive UFO program tasked with investigating reports of unidentified flying objects.
We're learning this morning about a Pentagon program that spent millions of dollars to look into UFO sightings.
The Pentagon ended funding, but the New York Times reports the program remains in existence.
And mainstream media quickly picked up on the story because we were treating it seriously at the New York Times. It gathered somewhat more gravitas and seriousness.
The articles in the New York Times 2017 removed the stigma on the topic of UFOs, which is why we're here today. Those articles open the door for the government and public that cannot be closed.
That 2017 article really popped the bubble for a lot of people.
The videos that we ran on the New York Times website, the 3 videos of encounters between these Navy jets and these objects, it was sensational. The videos were among the most watched ever in the history of the New York Times.
The U.S. Navy has finally acknowledged that videos appearing to show UFOs flying through the air are real. The several videos they're talking about were recorded years ago by fighter pilots. Then in 2017, they were made public by the New York Times.
The Tic Tac, the gimbal, and the Go Fast UFO. Those three videos were kind of first exposure for people that we have these unidentifieds that are flying in restricted airspace.
I'd like to say that the Tic Tac object we engaged in 2004 was far superior to anything that we had on time, have today, or looking to develop in the next 10 years.
All of this was on a clear day off the coast of California. This is not wartime nerves. This is not like pilot error. This is not some sort of glitch in the radar system. You've got a craft of unknown origin that shouldn't be there. Now that is a big deal.
These objects coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
We talk about 80,000 feet. That's a real sensitive thing. Anything above 80,000 feet, we're talking like about satellite hardware. That is some of the most protected assets the United States military has.
If the aircraft was armed, you believe that your aircraft or any aircraft in possession of the United States could have shot the Tic Tac down?
I'd say no. The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had, and there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing.